That's what a bareback of space look. Throw a grenade in it.
Oh, okay. I was like,
oh, no.
bareback of space.
Demoralizing tactic, you know.
I feel like that's the intro.
Probably.
Bareback of space.
You are welcome.
I'm going to show it my face hugger of it. What's up, guys? What's going on here? River Sullivan coming at you right here, right now, pre-recorded through the magic of the internet, computers, YouTube, and all the other anti-social media out there. I got a touch of the bronchitis, but it is allowing me to sound sultry smooth for a lot of different things. Like right now, I'm joined here yet again by my friend. But before we get into that, I'm going to do a pre-intro to his intro. In a world where everyone else drank basic white girl beverages, he stood alone, taking a giant Darth Vader hit from his vape. He drank his coffee like his heart and soul. I'm trying to do a thing here. Black. Coffee black. My friend and other hetero life mate, the silver fox of swing. The man with somewhat of a plan. Scott. Hey, Scott, how are you?
Great.
You gotta get closer to the microphone.
Great.
You got like right here where the screen's at. You gotta put the screen in front of your face.
I'm not sorry for my voice.
I'm saying you gotta
Oh, sorry.
pull the arm. The arm moves. Bring it to you.
Technology.
Technology. So what's up, guys? This week we're going to be talking about probably a lot of different things, but we're going to try to stay focused on one subject like we always do. So this week, on this evening tonight, we're going to be talking about the induction of the United States Space Force as the sixth branch of the military. Now, I wish we had some Space Force veterans here to talk with us on the show, but there aren't really any just yet.
No, I don't think they exist.
I'm reading directly right now here for our intro from military.com and their article. Space Force was signed into law December 20th, 2019 as part of the 2020 National Defense Authorization Act. Spaceforce.mil went live shortly thereafter. On June 18th, 2018, President Donald Trump directed the Pentagon to begin planning for a Space Force, a sixth independent military service branch to undertake missions and operations in the rapidly evolving space domain. So I could read a little bit more out of that, but you know what we're going to do? We're going to go to spaceforce.mil. We're going to go right to the site and see what we got here.
Fact sheet.
Oh, there's a fact sheet. Ooh, and there's a the fact sheet or the fact sheet?
Either way.
I will do both. Mission, blah, 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 blah. Oh, that's a lot. Okay, let's just go to the FAQs. Oh, God. What is the Space Force? How will the space... Oh, how do I join? Okay, guys, so you can go to spaceforce.mil and go to the FAQ section, and they have a couple of different articles here. How will the Space Force impact me? That is a lot of shit. Not interested. TLDR. Explore careers and find your purpose. Designated from the U. Oh, wow. So how to apply for the Space Force? You
Join the Air Force.
In the Air Force. So ironically, Scott, who was an Army veteran, just actually crossed over into the blue. I see. You're maneuvering. Get that certificate in iodized laser door gunnery.
It's all part of the plan.
Space shuttle door gunner gonna be real. So what are your thoughts on the Space Force, Scott?
I can see it. Like, there's a need for it. I mean, it's probably been a long time coming, actually. And I don't think in the way that most people think of it as being needed. Not like we're actually sending soldiers into space, per se, but satellite communication is such a big part of what we do now in the military and how we operate. I don't even think most new troops could even use a compass and a map anymore. So
No, it's all electronic, so you don't... I mean,
Yeah.
the compass is useless in space, right?
So obviously there must be some sort of threat in space for us to warrant creating a new service.
Do you think it's like a national threat?
Yeah.
Like geopolitical kind of
have
thing?
you seen the Chinese's technology?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. They pretty much stole most of it from us, and then they've kind of made it their own so far.
Yeah. and that's probably part of the threat in the future will be like, satellite warfare, whether it's actual delivering munitions to the surface from space or just the communication or taking out our communication networks. So there's definitely a need for it. I just don't think it'll be what people have in their mind.
So you're thinking like placement of like strategic battle satellites.
Yes, absolutely.
But those already exist, don't they?
I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on that.
I did see the movie Space Cowboys.
Yeah.
Where they had like they called it was a 6-gun. It was like 6 ICBMs pointed at Earth, held up in a satellite. Like it was disguised as a communication satellite. But it was made during the Cold War.
I think we have treaties against that, which doesn't mean we wouldn't make it. But
I think that's in the START treaty. But the START treaty has actually been nullified now.
Really?
The U.S. and Russia severed ties with the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, or START.
Do you have a timeline on when that happened? Was it before Space Force was formed? Because
I want to
maybe
say,
that has a little bit to do with it.
I want to say yes.
I know they've been working on, or if not have, like kinetic munitions.
Oh no! Looks like the START treaty is still in effect. It expires though the 5th of February 2021. Okay, so that's good. That makes me feel good because what I was hearing that the START treaty had been nullified or left to expire, and when that happens, that is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the two largest countries on this planet, 2 continents. Pretty much it just was. They agreed. Says, hey, we're not going to build up a big nuclear arsenal. We're not going to be doing any kind of crazy shit with nukes. Layman's terms of it. Because where I was stationed at when I was in the military, I worked in the nuclear sector, and we used to have the Russians used to show up, like, to watch us, like, and then we would send a team over there to watch them. But I remember I always liked it. Like, they would observe our daily activities and stuff like that. They'd be like, oh, the Russians are here. Mind your P's and Q's. And it was, all right, whatever. It was cool because that meant we didn't get to really train because they didn't want anybody knowing the tactics.
Free day.
Yeah, it's like, woohoo, I'm just here to work. I'm just here to do my job.
Did they ever ask you for a Slurpee?
No, I never really talked with any of them. Like, we were told that they were there, and you usually could see guys standing, like, in a distance from us.
Okay.
They're like, yep, that's them. I'm like, oh, okay. Big furry hats.
Yeah. So, yeah, like, the one way around that, though, is if, like, we're developing, like, means to deliver kinetic munitions from space. Like, what game was that where they had, like, the rods that would come down from space? Was it, like, Odin or whatever?
Oh,
like
was that Command and Conquer?
No, I think it was one of the Ghost Recon games, wasn't it?
Ooh, oh yeah. That was one for PlayStation 3 that you could use the headset, and the headset was that actually worked really well. You'd be like, Team Alpha, rally on Team Bravo. Like it actually worked. Like the phones, like modern phones don't have that amount. Don't have that amount of voice recognition. No, it's cool.
So yeah, there may be some truth to that. I don't know. I know they're bringing Space Fence online.
Yeah, Space Fence was supposed to be, now it's going online, what, this year or next year? It's getting there.
I'm thinking this year.
Space Fence was supposed to, from what I read, Space Fence is pretty much supposed to be like purely detection. Like it's like a virtual digital net that will detect everything that's in orbit of the planet, because they're saying it's because there's so much debris from space missions. There's so many like dead satellites and active satellites just out there that they're saying it's getting really crowded in our orbit.
Of course, that's what they say.
Which I found myself asking the question, though. I said, why do we need to map this? Why don't we just, like, where it's at? If you got, like, get yourself some, like, Space Force, all right, intergalactic garbage man, okay, sign me up. You're going to go out there and be like, there's Sputnik, push it back into the atmosphere, it'll burn up, and then we'll be done with it. Is that where they're going with that?
That's what they say, but
to clean it up?
I mean, there is a lot of debris up there.
Yeah.
So that would only make sense, but just the precise ability of what it's supposed to be able to do as far as detecting things is just
tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, if it's detecting, like, I think it was supposed to be able to detect, like, nuts and bolts floating out in space to a certain
that's what they
rate.
said. But then they also say, like, things that small as a nut or a bolt, like, if they achieve any form of velocity, like, because there's no friction up in space, that it can shred through somebody like armor-piercing rounds.
Absolutely.
Because they, they worry about micrometeorites in space, like microscopic just granules of meteorite debris that's traveling thousands of miles an hour will just shred through anything it touches.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a legitimate, I mean, that's a legitimate reason, but I'm sure it's awful handy in tracking enemy satellites.
Yeah, it's tracking a lot of stuff if it can track a loose nut or bolt floating around in orbit. So what do you want to see out of the Space Force? Like, what is like, whether it be like just pure imagination or just like a genuine grounded hope?
I definitely would like to see them be more proactive in, like, protecting our satellite communication, which I'm sure that's one of the reasons it was formed.
What do you mean?
Like, just making sure our comm systems don't go down, in the event of war or, just day-to-day operations.
Oh, I see.
No, we all have that dream. We want to see soldiers.
Look, the Air Force is pretty much the ones that got the Space Force started. But the thing I do kind of look forward to, just because it could be a true statement one day, Space Marines.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that. We all want to be that guy landing on the moon,
Space Marine,
shooting space bugs, but
just shooting alien, like, be like, was it Bill Paxton and Aliens, Sigourney Weaver? It's like, game's over, man. It's over. They cut the power. They're animals, man. I just want to see space. They got the big gun that's like mounted to their hip. Oh, man.
That's what a bareback of space look. Throw a grenade in it.
Oh, okay. I was like,
oh, no.
Bareback of space.
Demoralizing tactic,
I feel like that's the intro.
Probably.
Bareback of space.
You are welcome.
I'm going to show it my face hugger of it. Plant
God,
my eggs.
those movies used to creep me out when I was a kid.
Plant my eggs in its chest.
Just the way that their chest would throb and stuff. It just, oh man.
Yeah.
That's the stuff of nightmares right there.
And it just kind of came out of the chest,
Yeah.
man. That haunted me as a kid, that first movie. Ugh.
Those were probably worse than the slasher movies for me as far as causing nightmares.
Well, it was Ridley Scott wrote it. And that dude's nuts. I mean, you think about it too, though. Aliens, just like the original movie was good, but that second movie has become such an icon because it set the standard for just the entire Alien genre, not just the franchise, but the genre. And it also was heavily a heavy influence in video game communities, like Halo, the whole Halo thing. I don't know if you ever played Halo, even the first one. It was on the original Xbox.
I mean, we watched videos of it.
Like the Flood. Well, yeah, that's Red versus Blue, but there was the Flood, and it was like this organism that just was just consuming everything, and it was all a bioorganic entity. So it was just like these nasty, gangly looking things, and it drew heavily from Aliens.
It was a Gorgon.
Yeah. Garthawks, Coneheads. With the weird shit here, we're talking about the aliens and whatnot.
Oh, the fast radio bursts?
Well, there was a fast radio burst, but the guy you were listening to that was talking about there was a bunker somewhere.
Yeah, apparently there was some tales of I think it was on the Colorado, New Mexico. There was
and cue creepy music go.
Deep in Colorado along the New Mexico border.
Yes.
There was a subterranean secret military base.
Where was this at again?
Somewhere in Colorado. I think it was on the New Mexico border.
Oh.
I'd have to look it up.
Roswell?
No, I don't think it was near Roswell. But apparently there was talk that there was aliens there on the 7th floor. And there was a battle.
Hello, Kat.
There's your friend.
Oh, guys, we're just now joined in the studio by Kat Damon here. This fat cat lives in the house.
They're cutting our power.
They cut the power, man. They're animals. Oh, God, the cat's running.
But anyway, they were, there was rumors that there was different things going on there. There was aliens. There was a battle on the seventh level. There was a storage facility for artifacts, like holy artifacts, Raiders of the Lost Ark type stuff, things of that nature.
You ever seen the show Eureka?
No, but I've read about it. It sounds an awful lot like that.
Great show, yeah. It was on Sci-Fi for a long time, and then it was on Netflix, I believe. It was on one of the streaming services that I had at the time, and it was actually really good. It had the different levels and different artifacts and different things, but it was the scientific community, the greatest scientific minds in the whole planet, came together at this multinational government-funded site. And it was like the town's name was Eureka, but it was actually a very funny show though, which was weird because the dad was he was like a U.S. Marshal and his daughter was with him, and they accidentally land in Eureka, and then they end up living there because they got exposed to everything. So instead of having them killed, they were like, "Yeah, let's make him the constable of the town." Really good show.
I don't know. How you feeling about the Space Force?
Well, like I keep telling everybody, if I hear the word Jedi, X-Wing, lightsaber, especially lightsaber, if I hear any of that,
Definitely.
I'm quitting work, signing right up.
I mean, how else are we going to shoot down the UFOs? I mean,
Now they still don't have a rank structure.
well, I mean, I'm sure they're going by what the Air Force already has, right?
No, they've actually submitted. So if you had this really good idea and you wanted to submit this idea to the Air Force as an airman or whatever, you would submit an Air Force Form 1000, which is we always called it the 1000. It was the pay me form. Because if you came up with a way that would save them a bunch of money and improve whatever, they would pay you the difference that they saved, in a one-time installment. So it could be thousands and thousands of dollars. Well, they upgraded it to a website, and I can't think of the website off the top of my head. I went to it, but I can't do anything with it because I'm no longer active. But they're submitting people in the Air Force. They say, we need a rank structure for the Space Force. So they are pooling the enlisted staff. I want to know.
I just want to see pictures.
I want to know what the response is. The response to some of this.
Yeah.
Realistically, it was a crewman. He's gonna be crewman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because I've been watching Star Trek lately, just because it's the only thing left I can really binge on Netflix.
Padawan.
Yeah. Negative
Jedi Master.
junior first class, or Padawan negative first class.
Petty officer.
Oh, it's gonna be stupid, or it's gonna be really. Good.
That sounds like the origins of the Good Idea Fairy right there.
Oh, the Good Idea. Oh,
yeah. Hey, let's all turn our wipers backwards. They'll save on energy. You know how they come up with dumb stuff all the time in the military. Somebody says, "Oh, hey, this is a good idea. Let's try it."
Yeah, there was it was called the E4 solution. There was I believe it's a website. It's a bunch of like vets. It was what we called the E4 Mafia. I was a former member, where you're just an E4 forever, and you don't really move above that. It was just they're always your crusty enlisted guys. They were the senior enlisted, not quite an NCO, but not a new guy anymore. And to combat the Good Idea Fairy, a buddy of ours actually sent me the article on it, and it was how to combat the Good Idea Fairy. You introduce the E4 solution, which was you get the crusty E4, and you put him in with this CO or the NCO or whoever's in charge, somebody the something IC, and then he's just attached to that officer for the rest of his career. And he'd be like, "Man, it would be really great if we made him wear Class A's on Sundays." And then E4 would slap him. He'd be he'd slap the shit out and be like, "No, you do not do that. It's their day off." And he would have to get in their face, get in his face about it. But there were stipulations. You don't ever arm the E4, because usually that circumstance would end up, with the MPs standing behind the E4 going, put the pistol down, put the Beretta down. But they also wanted to have things they would have to train the E4. Most of the E4s we were already trained in. You just knew what to see. It was that glazed over, eyes going up slightly to the left or the right, and the mouth coming unhinged slightly and open, breathing through the mouth slowly, and had that glazed over Stepford Wives look in his eye. And then he could just grab a hold of him and be like, "I don't know what it is you're about to say, but you just hold it in. You write it down, and then I will tell you if it's good." And they'd be like, "Okay." Yeah. They wouldn't outrank the officer, but they would have the authority over the officer for like military police. Like one of the greatest phrases I ever heard military police say though was when they could like pull over a 4-star general that was drunk. You know, he had way outranks like this E3 or E4 that's pulling him over, and he wants to get lippy. And the go-to line was always, "Sir or ma'am, do not confuse your rank with my authority." And they hated that. They hated it. And it was glorious to see that.
Yeah, that line dominated my career field as well.
Mm.
Actually, I had a few of those moments. They're fun.
It's the little things in life as an enlisted man that you look forward to. That was definitely one of them. I mean, I just realized I just
Street Fighter, really?
This tasty gem sitting here. This is what I want the Space Force to look like.
That is absolutely what the Space Force should be.
I just found my girlfriend gave me these movies. She gave me a Blade Runner.
All right.
Like the original Blade Runner.
All right.
The 4-disc collector's edition. Awesome. And then she also gave me Street Fighter with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Raul Julia. And I want to say that was Raul Julia's last movie. I loved him as an actor. He was my favorite, like as Gomez Adams. But I don't know if I want it to be like the UN version, like the good guys. Because, you know, Bison, he had the wings with the skull on it, was like their emblem. Because I just realized he has the levitating chair. And then he had the boots, and he's like, "It levitates in me." And he's like flying around,
and he does
beating the shit out of Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I don't remember that movie. Did he do the corkscrew electric thingy?
Psycho Crusher! Yeah, he did. It was like a flying thing. Oh my God, that movie it's perfect. Oh, yep. Okay, I need to find somebody that's still enlisted, send them this. Be like, you need to watch this movie and submit any and all ideas from this to the Space Force people so we can get a rank structure built out of that.
Yeah, I'd love to see the pictures of some of the ideas people submitted because, you know, it's some wild stuff.
Yeah, I know people have submitted like the Star Trek uniform and stuff like that. And like a lot of people got pissed though because the uniforms they're using are the leftover. It's like it was like a combination of the MARPAT, ABU, ACU, like digicams. Like everybody's going to the multicam now. But people were getting pissed off because they're like, "Oh, look at this. It's a cheap cop out." And whoever is in charge of the Space Force Twitter account was perfect. They pretty much said, "Yeah, we're using these because they're the leftover ones. The only thing that's going to change is the tape is say U.S. Space Force on it. It says we're not charging millions and millions and millions of taxpayer funded dollars on a research program to try to create a new uniform because somebody out there photoshopped a bunch of looked like a Starry Night on this guy's BDUs, and it was like black BDUs with a bunch of stars on it." And people started to believe, like, this is crazy. This is what you really want to use. You want to use camouflage in space so you blend in. They're like, they're not, what? Like,
I think the naked eye would be the last thing you're going to be hiding from in space.
Yeah,
like, the camouflage.
If you're that close in space and you don't have a suit on, you're probably already kind of screwed.
I mean, that's what your cloaking device is for, obviously.
Now, okay. Here's what I want to see, though. Truthfully, the Jedi lightsaber, all that stuff aside, this is what I like. This is what I believe is going to happen. Moon base.
That needs to happen.
That's going to be the Space Force's first installation, hands down.
I mean, has
to be.
I think they've been trying that for a while, and there's even some rumors that it actually happened and we don't know about it. But that's just rumors. But that just seems like the next logical step.
I feel like if there was a moon base, though, somebody would have seen it by now. Because, I mean, we got a lot of amateur astronomers out there. A lot of people.
It was on the dark side.
A lot of people. It rotates.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
I'm pretty sure it's tidally locked. Not tidally locked, but like the dark side of the moon is never exposed to Earth.
Oh, my God. I have to find this out.
Please. I hope I'm right so I don't look like a moron.
Okay. So the moon orbits the Earth once every 27.322 days. It also takes approximately 27 days for the moon to rotate once on its axis.
Keep reading.
As a result, the moon does not seem to be spinning, but appears to observers from Earth to be keeping almost perfectly still. Scientists call this synchronous rotation. So it does rotate very, very slowly.
But that means the dark side never faces us.
What are you saying, that the base moves?
Synchronous rotation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 27 days, though, the moon rotates once on its axis.
Just ask, say, hey, is the dark side of the moon ever visible to Earth?
So tidal forces from Earth have slowed down the moon's rotation to the point where the same side is always facing the Earth, a phenomenon called tidal locking. The other face, which is most of which is never visible from Earth, is therefore called the far side of the moon. No shit, that came from Wikipedia. I can't argue with it. Can't argue with it. It's Wikipedia, almighty.
That's where the Nazis went after World War II.
I mean, you can add to Wikipedia, but...
so, I mean, who knows what's up there?
Dark side of the moon, Transformers. Yep. Son of a bitch! It all makes sense!
I just think that establishing a base there would be the next logical step. I mean, you got to think of, like, the scientific, opportunities that would be available there. Commerce. I mean, who knows what we can mine from there? Oh, God.
Okay, so yeah, we just kind of accidentally flipped here for something on the second half of the show here. Kind of drifted a little bit away from space, no pun intended, drifting. But we are looking here also into some of the other stranger technologies that, as of recently, have started to kind of come out here. Now, we don't follow this stuff as closely as some people would if they were like real into the whole tech world. But we were just kind of perusing the internet here and found that, what's the title of the article? Cyborg Locusts could be used to sniff out bombs. Now, reading it, though, it's a little weird because the photo that I was able to look at, yeah, that's weird. Scientists are putting sensors on insects to monitor their neural activity and decode the odors present in the environment. So let's see. Researchers, though, have apparently chosen locusts because they're sturdy and can carry heavy payloads. They implanted electrodes into these things.
Oh, God.
Into their brains to analyze the neural activity when they were around different substances. So they're going to take locusts, put electrodes in their brains, give them superpowers, but then put them next to like Semtex, C4, black powder, or whatever.
Wait till PETA hears about this.
and then see how their brain reacts when it's near it. So when they get that reaction, they'll be able to know exactly, like, oh, it reacted this way for gunpowder, or this way for Semtex. So, okay, that kind of makes sense. God, that's terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
And
because you know what the next step, if they're already tapping into insect brains, is.
Well, I mean, DARPA already has those cybernetic arms.
Oh, yeah, they're already working on that, the VTC technology.
VTC?
Voice to skull.
Oh, there's already video on
the
that.
VTS, yeah.
Like, this happened in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
The DARPA scientist, or the guy that got the DARPA contract to research it, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. All I remember is he wears a full Canadian tuxedo pretty much all times. Jeans, jean shirt, jean jacket.
Does he have a mullet?
No, it's kind of like long, fluffy, kind of like a Tom Hanks hairdo, Nice. But he's really, like, from what I saw, he's a very nice guy, well-spoken, kind of quiet. But he would take these veterans, and he said that this project is for them, was to get them rehabilitated, because there's so many double, triple, quadruple amputees out there from combat. And they had a guy there that was from Operation Desert Storm, and he had lost legs, arms, all of it, and hadn't been able to feed himself for like 19 years. And they hooked him up to this harness, hooked an arm to him, and had these electrodes running the back of his head. And there's video of it. He's actually using the arm with a spoon and eating a bowl of shredded wheat, shredded mini wheats. Like, just like nothing. Like, it was just like he's feeding himself.
Robot arms.
They tested it out on monkeys before that. I've seen the video where they have a monkey that he's like strapped into like a thing, and like he's like strapped down and can't move, but the electrodes are running into his brain. And so the monkey can't move with his own limbs to feed himself, but he's connected to that arm, and he figured out how to run the arm to bring himself food. So he figured out how to feed himself.
That sounds like a horrible idea. Let's give a monkey superpowers. Which pretty much what a robot arms.
Little monkey, a little marsupial. Little,
still, though, I mean, if he can punch through a wall.
Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be so great. But, yeah, they like the guy's family pretty much said, you have two options. They told the scientist, said, you can give Doug the arm. I'm pretty sure his name was Doug. Said, or you can keep Doug. Because he hasn't been able to feed himself for almost 2 decades. And he just was able to do that, like, no problem. And so he sat down with more vets and was doing more focus groups and everything, and said pretty much right now they've only got 2 options. Said, I can make you strong or I can make you fast. You can't have both. So by fast, he means like lighter weight materials in the arms, manipulative fingers to make them more tactile, more dexterous, or strong, being like heavy servos, stuff like that can actually do jobs. So I don't think he's going to go across the board with just one or the other. I think it's going to be a case-by-case basis. Once they have the technology perfected, I think that what they're going to do is say, what is it you do for a living? Oh, you work in construction. Well, you're going to want heavy arm Mark 1, and then
Mhm.
you're going to want quick arm Mark 2 or something. You want to work in the office and type away. Like it all exists. I mean, it's out there.
Here's some power armor.
Yeah. Oh, hey, the exosuits are out there, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's all coming.
There was what was it? There was another DARPA contract where they were looking at doing the. It used to be like remember the Land Warrior program that like just fell apart, which I really don't think it did. I think it actually is still in use personally, but whatever. But they were looking at these exosuits and everything for people, and there was apparently somebody came out with it was a bioorganic spray.
I remember you telling me about
and
this.
And they sprayed it on like these Navy SEALs, like they were wearing the Ranger panties and like tank tops. They sprayed their whole bodies, their legs, their arms, like everything down with this fibrous, like it looked like this muscular mesh that just sprayed on them, like looked like they got rhino lined. And they had each one of them was carrying 250 pounds of equipment. They picked it up like it was nothing, and then they sprinted 2 miles. Sprinted, not jogged it. They sprinted with 250 pounds of shit on them for 2 miles, and they did it in like 10 minutes.
Probably weren't even winded.
They got there, ran up to it was like a 5-story building. They had to ran up all the stairs, set up a whole crew serve weapon, and we're like, we feel good. Because apparently it was feeding all these aminos and potassium and electrolytes, and just constantly feeding the muscles, removing that citric acid in our muscles that builds up. When you run or do anything real hard exercise or work related, and you get that burning in your muscles, that's citric acid that builds up. So this was constantly like it was purging those muscle groups of it. And it would feel whenever the muscles would heat up, I guess it would target it and just purge them. So the muscles were fresh the entire time. So these guys ran 2 miles in 10 minutes and ran up 6 flights of stairs to this building and set up everything, broke it all down, ran back in like the same amount of time, like nothing had happened. But by the time they got back, the stuff started to fall apart because as soon as they started sweating, it started to peel off of them. Like it just started like falling apart, which I guess is kind of the thing to do because you don't want it permanently attached to
right.
you. God, I can see that going like some kind of Resident Evil way wrong.
Yeah.
Some biomass like that just starts absorbing everything into it.
Oh, I'd love to get my hands on some of that.
For what? I don't know. What do you don't moving a couch
to go fast?
Yeah. What do you want to go for? That car broke down. Psst, spray it down. I'll be at work, guys. I'm not going to be late. Sorry, guys. We still got a little bit of time here left on the show. So we're going to do what I don't know if we're going to make it somewhat of a tradition, but we are going to do another round of AI Dungeon. But this time, I've done it a little bit more custom in terms of our episode. So give me one moment here.
Extra epic.
I'm going to pull up the music for it. All right, you ready?
Ready.
You are Dale, a Ranger First Class in the United States Space Force. Your shuttle is in orbit around Earth. When it's destroyed by an unknown force, you were on a routine inspection mission of one of your space stations when you're suddenly attacked and killed by a creature that has somehow managed to survive in this new environment.
So I'm an astral projection.
But it just said, like, it just started, we got killed. I said, but I didn't die.
All right. It's pretty intense. I'm feeling it.
You wake up in a hospital bed with no memory of how you got there. The only thing you can remember is waking up in a room full of people who look very familiar to you.
This does feel vaguely familiar.
You say, this does feel familiar. You don't know why you said that, but you do. You then realize that they looked very similar to the people from your past. They weren't exactly like family, though. They were more like enemies than anything else.
Search the room for weapons.
You search the room for any clues as to what happened to you, but find nothing. It's just another empty room. You wonder if you have some sort of amnesia or something, and you never really had problems with remembering things before. I told it you then realized that you were in hypersleep. You're trying to keep it in space. You wake up again in a hospital bed, this time not feeling sick at all. You think you must be in hypersleep or something because you don't feel tired anymore. The next day, you go back to work and everything seems normal again.
All right, here we go.
So we inspect the space station. I really want to try to keep this grounded. Or as close to the stories we can.
I feel you.
You inspect the space station and see that it looks fine. You also notice that you're still wearing your spacesuit. Then you start wondering about where you might have gone off to after your accident. A few days pass and you come across a strange radio signal coming from the station. Listen to the radio signal.
Fast radio burst.
Oh, that'd be great. You turn on the radio and hear a voice saying, "Hello, this is Earth." Then it goes into static. You try listening again, but you get nothing. You decide to leave it alone until you need to use it again.
Let's hop in an X-Wing fighter with our laser rifle.
You rush out of the hospital and head straight to the space station. You fly over the area and see nothing out of place. So you assume that you've found what you're looking for. When you arrive, however, there is no sign of life anywhere nearby. Thought it'd scan for life forms. You begin scanning the area for life forms, but you don't detect anything. You quickly return to the hospital and report your findings to Dr. Gossi.
Enter.
We're going to let this process.
I want to see what he has to say.
She tells you that she'll take care of it and sends you on your way. Oh, shit, I accidentally hit enter, so we're processing again.
And this is where it goes off the rails.
She tells you that she'll take care of it and sends you on your way. You spend the rest of the week trying to figure out how to get home, but nothing happens. I send out a fast radio burst transmission.
I like it.
I want to see if we can take everything that we've talked about and lump it into this story. You send out a fast radio burst transmission hoping that someone will pick it up. The only response you receive is one short static-filled message. It's possible that you didn't make contact at all, or maybe they just lost power or something. You can't tell now.
Scan for aliens.
Said activate SpaceNet.
All right.
You activate the SpaceNet and find yourself in a vast empty void. There are no stars visible anywhere around you. It feels like an eternity before you see any signs of life at all.
We've arrived at a state of quantum flux. No, that's not really what I want to put in.
I send out my probe made of locusts.
Okay. Forgot about that little guy.
You send out your probe made from locusts, and within seconds you see a small green sphere floating through the void. It seems to be following a path toward the center of the galaxy.
Let's follow this sphere and scan it.
So I told it, follow the green sphere. What's weird is this is like the smoothest one we've had.
Yeah.
As you float along with the green sphere, you begin to notice that it isn't moving in a straight line. It keeps changing direction and zigzagging about, as if it were being guided by some sort of invisible force.
Follow it to source.
Continue following the green sphere. The green sphere continues to move in a random pattern, but eventually it stops completely still. You watch as it slowly begins to fade away until you're left staring at nothingness. Send out my distress call to the Space Force.
I'm really just waiting to use some Odin rods.
You send out your distress call to the Space Force, but there's no answer back. You wait patiently for hours, but nothing happens. Finally, you give up and decide to turn off your SpaceNet so that you won't have to worry about getting stranded again. I'm going to let that process, see what happens. You drift aimlessly through space for months, never knowing what happened to your family.
Can we jump to hyperspace?
Check status of the ship, and then we'll try to jump. You check the status of your ship, which has been damaged beyond repair. It's too dangerous to travel alone anymore. And you're not sure when you should go next. In the meantime, you've managed to gather enough supplies to last several years aboard the derelict vessel.
Ooh, we found a derelict vessel.
Apparently our vessel's derelict.
Okay. Search for the nearest planet. Habitable planet.
You decide to head into the nearest star system to look for a suitable planet to settle on. It would probably take more than 2 years of traveling, but it might be worth it since you'll finally get your revenge against those who killed your family.
How lucky.
Huh?
I said, how lucky.
How lucky. What? Revenge? Revenge!
Wait, what happened to my family?
So I put, find out who killed my family. After weeks of searching, you come across a report on one of the ship's navigation computers. The captain was attacked by pirates while exploring a nearby system, and his ship was destroyed. His name is William Breen, and he was only 25 when he died. My dad was 25?
All right. Go to that system. Search for pirates.
Yeah. You decide to head to the system where William Breen was found dead. After days of travel, you arrive at the coordinates and start looking around. A few minutes later, you hear a loud explosion followed by a bright flash of light.
Investigate.
You immediately run towards the source of the explosion. A short time later, you see a large hole in the ground and debris everywhere. You also see a small craft flying through space at an incredible speed, heading directly towards you.
Launch Odin rods.
You quickly activate your personal shield and launch your Odin rods at the ship. Unfortunately, you don't manage to hit it with all of them, but it doesn't matter because the craft is already moving away from you before they can reach it. So we scared them off.
Okay. Land and investigate.
Pursue. I mean, we were on the planet,
Oh, okay. All right.
and then it came at us. You follow the craft, hoping that it will eventually land somewhere near where William Breen was found dead. Unfortunately, the craft keeps accelerating and soon becomes invisible to your sensors.
What'd you do?
I just want to see if it processes first. Defeated, I stab myself with my lightsaber. You attempt to stab yourself with your lightsaber, but unfortunately, you accidentally cut your hand off instead. Fortunately, you're still alive, so you continue following the craft. Seems like forever until you finally lose contact with the craft again. I said, make myself a mechanical hand and replace the one I accidentally cut off.
Oh, okay.
We're kind of turning into Luke Skywalker now. You spend hours trying to create a new artificial hand, but it isn't easy. Eventually, you succeed and use it to help you hunt down the remaining pirates. The next day, you wake up in a cold sweat thinking about what happened the day prior.
So we defeated all the pirates.
We killed all the pirates.
Set a course for home.
You set course for home and go to hypersleep. When you wake up, you realize that the last thing you remember is being chased by a bunch of strange creatures. When you enter hyperspace, you notice, though, that there's no sign of any other ships in this part of the galaxy.
Engage.
You activate your personal shield and fire several bolts. It remembered.
Forgot that could be
No,
taken.
it remembered. That was cool. It actually remembered the Odin bolts and all that.
All right.
So it says you activate your personal shield and fire several more bolts at the ship. It takes a lot of energy, but fortunately you manage to damage the ship enough that it falls out of hyperspace. You then begin a search for the nearest habitable planet. You then start to fall into a deep depression as you realize you're going to die here on this rock. Then suddenly, you feel something touch your mind.
Do I feel violated?
I don't know. I'm just going to let that process. The feeling is very faint, but it feels like someone touching your mind. You open your eyes and see a dark figure standing over you. He has an evil smile on his face.
Sith Lord. Cut his head off with a lightsaber.
I told it to cut the figure's head off with your lightsaber. You quickly cut the figure's head off with your lightsaber, which causes him to scream in pain. Okay. Then you turn around and run away from the scene. And then I made it home.
Victory dance.
Cold cuts! And then you made it home. The end.
Yes. We finally actually made one work.
Actually made it work. It actually worked. It didn't get too off the rails.
It was very theme-oriented.
It was great. Oh, man. I'm wrong. It didn't have all the laughs like some of the other ones did, just for the sheer off-the-railsness.
Right.
But I liked it.
I'm liking the music.
Yeah. Well, all right, guys. That looks like all the time we have here for this evening. On This Evening Tonight. I've been your host, River Sullivan. And with me here, yet again, good friend, the veteran of vape, the connoisseur of coffee.
See y'all later.
Yeah, my voice was about out there on that one. All right, guys, thanks again for tuning in. Thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to check out all the other ways that you can listen. iHeart Radio, Stitcher, Spotify, Sounder, Google Podcast, iTunes, maybe even on Facebook, one of these. Why not? And on the YouTube. All right, guys, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for tuning in. And until we see you next time, peace out.